won't see my head for the next 3 months.
It's important to keep warm. Okay. So, I'm going to carry on with the winter theme, and we've got Anna joining us today. Going to. So I found this image. I found a few winter scenes in this woodcolour book that I bought earlier in the year. Well, I won some vouchers, so this is one of the ones I got the vouchers. I quite like his work. And I thought that I quite like the colours, the way he used these sort of quite warm colours and bluey colours in the winter scene. So I thought I'd try and take some of the colours out of that, but apply it to one of my photographs. So this is South Church Hole in South Church Hall Gardens. So I'm thinking try and warm up the sky a little bit. So this was the demo I started this morning. I'll carry that on here. I thought I'd just show you the sky bit first and then carry on with that one. So let's move that out of the way from here. The thing with watercolours is it's quite a lot of stages, and it's putting some paint down, letting it dry, and then more layers over the top. So that's why I need to do the demonstration in a couple of bits, because I can't really demonstrate it all in one. So I'll start out with a drawing, and I'll very quickly just do a little bit of what I do. So I tend to start, I'm right-handed, so sometimes it helps me to start on the left and just work my way across. So perhaps start something like a chimney, that'll be like that. And the actual sketch I've got there, I did just before the session. So sometimes I start with the ridge of the roof there. That is very slightly angled down that way, because we've seen two sides of the building. So I'll start with that, and then the start of the roof line, that'll come along a bit. And I'll start popping these windows in. And I was aware of how high is that compared to that. And there's a bit more space there than there is there, so I'm thinking perhaps come up to about there. A lot of the details, I think I could paint those in or draw those in with the paint. So I'm really just getting the big shapes that I feel I would need. And with this one I can see a little bit the side of are they called dormers? Something like that. And then on to the next one. A little bit more space here, so perhaps to about there. And it's a slightly different shape.
What can you see the side of? Dormer.
Dormer, are they called dormer windows though?
Oh, is that?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's what you call it. And
I see they stick out.
Yeah, they kind of stick out, come out from the roof.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can actually see a tiny bit the side of that one too. So yeah, I'll work like that. And then once I've got here, I can then think, well, that chimney, actually the chimney is about there, isn't it, in relation to that window? So sort of relating one bit to another. And then I could then work down and look at how these windows line up. So there's a window there, about halfway down there. This window, or it might be a doorway actually, I think that is starts pretty much at the side of that window. So that's how I would get those big shapes in. And then there's another bit that I think is a blank top doorway there. And then basically just kind of work that along. And then once I've got that, I can then put the hedges, sorry, not the hedges, the little shrubs. And then I wouldn't necessarily do too much for the trees, but just to make a few marks where they're roughly positioned. So this, I think I need a bit more room there actually, probably this window comes over a bit. I think that tree is about there, and perhaps the chimney wants to come over. But that would be the way I'd go about the drawing. I'm going to start somewhere and just work my way along. It's tempting sometimes to draw an outline and fill in, but sometimes it's quite hard to get all the spaces right then. So sometimes I just work the spaces as I go, just let it all expand.
Do you find sometimes when you're putting your paint on that your drawing, you can't get the pencil to disappear, you know?
I think
your drawing is still there.
Yeah, it could be a problem. Hopefully if you draw lightly, you should be able to still rub it out.
Okay.
I'll try that in a minute with that one. In fact, I'll try that now because it might get wet in a minute. Let's see if I've got a rubber. Yes. So, just clean the rubber a bit. I think probably that will come out still.
Yeah.
So I think just draw lightly.
Yeah,
don't
I
push it
think
too
I
much.
draw too hard,
Yeah.
and then I can't get
Try not
that
to score the
line.
paint. Yeah, that's probably the trick. The pencil I'm using is 3B, so it's not too soft and not too hard either,
Okay.
really. So it's a sort of general purpose drawing pencil. So that'll be that stage. When it comes to painting the sky, what I would want to do to start with is just get the whole of that top bit. In fact, I'll just wet the whole lot. So a nice big brush that holds lots of moisture. These sort of soft natural hair brushes are good for that. But if you've just got an iron-on brush, you might have to just go over a couple of times. And this will give me a little bit more time to work by having that damp already. So that'll be that bit. And then I've mixed a couple of colours. So I've got a kind of orangey colour and a reddy colour. So this was a bit of cadmium yellow, and I'm thinking here's the sun, and it starts to warm up around there. So I don't want it too strong, but I just want it to kind of tint the paper a little bit. So I can pop that in like that. And then I'll go in with the reddy colour as well. And I found that it was actually, I got a bit more control to use a slightly smaller brush to mix the colour. And then use this other one. I don't always do this, but I just discovered that today, that if I use this one to paint with, I know with some of these demos, I've gone very dark, very strong colour a bit too quickly really. So that just gives me a little bit more control. So this is like a kind of background warmish feel. I think this photo, I would have taken that in the morning, just because I know that that's where the sun is in the morning. It's sort of behind the hall. This is in a little park just over the road from where I live. So that gives me a nice warm colour there. And then these little bits of grey cloud. Oops, I should have washed that. So I've mixed a grey, and again, tried something slightly different this morning. I thought, well, quite often my greys come out a bit too purple. So I thought, well, I'll try and mix a grey with green and purple, and that's what I've got here. So that's how that looks. I quite like that. I want it slightly lighter as we get towards the sun. So I could add, maybe I'll add a tiny bit more water. Just have that a little bit lighter in there and around here. So this paper is nice and wet still, so I can get these nice sort of softened edges. I can push the paint around a little bit while it's still wet. Get a bit more paint up there. And over here it's a little bit stronger cloud, so make that a bit stronger. So hopefully that's enough of an impression of clouds. The bits in the middle where there's almost like rays of light coming out here. If I dry this brush, just wet it and dry it, I should be able to lift a bit of paint out like that. So this is a bit tricky. You can sometimes just lift bits out, but you don't want to put more water in there. You just want a clean brush, but you want a thirsty brush that will soak up whatever's there. So something like that. So that's one way of trying to get those sort of sun rays. So quite a good fun to try that. Just the skies quite often are the hardest bit. So sometimes just practicing skies is a good idea, rather than labouring. I've seen so many people labour for an hour or so drawing a nice building, and then just mess up very quickly with the sky. So it's really is worth playing around and experimenting with the sky. So that's that stage. So I would then leave that to dry, and onto the one I started earlier. So that's I could do a bit more of this now. So this was this morning sky.
So nice, isn't it? Dry nice.
That's quite, it's worked quite well, isn't it? It's a little bit hard edge there, but it's not too bad. So really it's just getting I want a slightly darker tone here for all the, really want to paint the snow in, all this bit here. But I think the tonally, the white bits on the building are very similar in tone to the snow, so could maybe just slightly change the colour. So, I haven't got anything mixed there. I'm going to go, so let's try, I'll start with that kind of purpley colour again. It's too purple in there. Maybe okay, a bit of green. Not sure what I want here. Just want to make that, yeah, that's better. It's a little bit grayer. I'll try that. I think I could pretty much work out the whole lot in one go, so I'll try that. What is a really good idea is have a bit of scrap paper to try your colours out and your tones. So that's quite a bluey, I think that might be right. Let's try that. Maybe a little bit of yellow in with it, just to stop it being too purpley. So, although it's snow and it's quite light, it might be a bit too dark. Yeah, I'm going to lighten that a little bit, just add a bit more water. So some of it can stay dark, but I'll have some of that feels a bit better. So I'm going to put that over the whole building, and a little bit here. So that really represents the snow in shadow. And then I would carry that on so that we've got some, I'm going to change these, just bring a little bit, there's a little bit of sunlight catching the snow there, so I want to leave that. And there's a tree here, which is about here, so that would have a shadow cast across here. Maybe a few other shadows cast. So because the sun is here, actually that will come out a bit more this way, and then this shadow will come over this way. So just a little bit more water. So that's, I would leave at that stage. There are things like the shrubs to go in, but I probably would let that dry now. And then once I've got that dry, I could then put some more details and things like these trees and shrubs here. But I want quite sort of sharper edges. So I need it to be dry so that I can put sharp edges in. I'll probably go to a smaller brush then. Nah, it's still quite wet. I'll do a little bit here, but it's probably going to be too wet. A slightly thicker paint. So the other thing is I've not used any white paint. It's all just the white of the paper. So really to get the colours darker, or to get the colours lighter, I'll put more water. And to get the colours darker, I'm just using the paint thicker or a stronger consistency. So when it comes to the details, it's probably dry enough to be able to get some sharp bits in there. We've got a sharper edge there. Just do a little bit around here. Yeah, that's dry enough. I'm getting sharp edges, which is what I wanted. So I could then put those sorts of details in, and things like the trees in the background. I could put some of those in. Wouldn't necessarily want too much detail there, so just get some darker tones there, like that. These trees here, so I've got another page that is the tree demo page. Open that bit. So what I'll do, if you can imagine the building behind there, I've painted that behind there. Yeah, it's just a grey. You could use a sort of nice thin brush. Hi Naomi. Get some of the main branches in, tree trunks. But where it gets like very, very fine twigs, you're not going to put every single twig in. So I tend to just have a fairly dryish brush and just do something like that. Just try and again, it's worth trying it out on a bit of paper. You don't want too much paint on there. Just try and almost like give an impression. And just, so this paper's got a little bit of a texture. So you can just get a little bit of a impression of areas that are just slightly darker. Just gives the impression.
It's really good that. It's really good you can get these different marks.
Yeah. So it's kind of getting the paint to do the work, really.
Yeah.
To kind of try and give the impression of the doing thing. So that's
Paul?
Yep.
Because I'm used to acrylics,
Yeah.
which dry very quickly,
Yeah.
and I'm not used to watercolours.
Yeah.
How long, that previous page you did,
This
previous one, yes. How long would you say that would take to dry? I mean,
Yeah, that's. I
Isn't
mean,
it a
yeah,
few
that's dry
hours
enough
or-
now. It's only a minute or two.
oh,
It kind of depends on how warm it is and things like that,
Yeah.
or how humid it
it's
is.
not like the next day.
No. It's like that. That's dry enough now. I could carry on with all that now. And I managed to get that little bit in. It was just slightly damp
Mm.
then, but you could do
Okay.
that. And I could have done a tree probably as well onto that. But I just sort of had it in mind to do that.
So that's proper watercolour paper, is it?
Yes,
Yeah.
it is. Yeah. So watercolour paper. it's thicker
Right.
and it's got like a glue size on, so the paints will just kind of float over there. They'll sit nicely on that. Whereas this is back in the envelope, and you see the paint just kind of soaks in a little bit.
Yeah, so
And
it
it
has a lot
couples.
harder edge. Oh no, that's not to
It's,
do with
it's
that, is it?
more,
That's to do
yeah,
with
it's more that it will cockle and it will. It's very. This is very smooth, so actually it's harder to get the flat washes. Yeah, you'll tend to see the brush marks more on a smoother paper. Whereas if it's got a little bit of texture, it tends to even out, or you can get these nice washes because it evens it out a bit.
It doesn't soak the paint up slower or faster or anything. It's
It
just
might do it slower. Sorry, it might soak it up faster. Yeah, because this has got glue on it. It will almost like sit on the surface a bit more.
right.
Whereas it's more likely to soak into
Yeah.
the fibres of the paint.
Yeah, I was thinking that because that's dried really quickly, hasn't it?
Yeah, it will dry quite quick. Yeah.
Cool, that's good.
Okay, so yeah, it's a bit complicated if you're just sort of starting out, but you can get some nice effects with it.
Excellent.
And it's probably a lot quicker than oil paints and acrylics in some ways. You can sort of put a sky on very quickly, whereas that would take me a lot longer with the oil.
Yeah. You sold it.
Yeah, so yeah. Okay, right.
Thank you.